Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my Brand Chat interview series. I'm thrilled to welcome my Minnesota gal pal, Sairey Gernes, and she is the CEO of Urban Undercover. And I'm so excited to welcome her to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yay. And I'm really excited for you to be here because not only have I been a fan of what you sell, but also I noticed that you rebranded, and I'm very, very excited to share that with my viewers and my listeners and my students, because a lot of them are in varying stages of development of their brand, right? So whether they're refreshing, rebranding, or even repositioning. And so I know that was an interesting journey for you, and I really am excited to have you share that with
Thanks.
my students.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned, Sairey and I are friends from Minnesota, and she created this really cool product. So let's start with what it is. Why don't you share with everybody what it is?
Well, let's see if I can fit it in the screen here, but this is what it is. And it doesn't look like much, but what they are super comfortable underwear. So they roll out of a little patented pocket that we have that sits in the small of your back. And then you can travel with them really easily. I mean, you can throw them in any purse or bag or whatever, because it's always nice to have an extra pair. But then when you're traveling, you just roll them right back up, and then you flip the flap over, and you know those are clean in your suitcase. And you flip the other flap over, and you know those are dirty in your suitcase.
See, how cool is that? Like, seriously, people need girls, well, guys too, like, let's just call it.
Yeah, we've had a lot of requests from men.
Right, like having an extra something, right? Mm-hmm. That's discreet.
Yeah, and it just makes you feel good. The whole premise, they're extremely comfortable and extremely well made. That's really our kind of foundation. And the reason, is that I just feel like if you feel good about yourself, then everything else kind of follows, and everything else just feels better in your life if you feel comfortable and you feel good. So sometimes, as women, we run into those days where we just need to freshen up and feel a little bit better. And so to have a backup pair of underwear is kind of a nice deal.
No kidding. And how did you come up with, first of all, the idea to go down this path, but then secondarily, the design? That design, you've patented, I'm assuming?
Yep.
Right. And so we should talk about that too, the importance of patenting something that is a unique design, because really the functionality of how it's packaged is the patent, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so first let's talk about how you even came up with this idea.
It was kind of a twofold idea. I literally started out because I wanted to create better underwear. And the reason being is that I'm a size 12, 14, which is the average for North American women. And 12. Now it's actually tending towards 14 for the average size for North American women. And I didn't fit in a lot of a lot of brands, and they're large. And I just kind of was like, well, this is A, frustrating, but B, wrong. So I was like, well, I wonder what would happen because I wanted something for myself that was pretty and comfortable and I felt good in, because it's that whole premise. Like, if you feel good, you're kind of just able to handle everything else a little bit better. You have a better outlook on things if you just feel confident, feel good. And so it was really I set out to solve a problem. And then the pocket idea was kind of, as I was developing it, had the same idea. This idea of putting this pocket on it. Originally it was kind of like, it's an extra place if you're wearing leggings or something, you can put something there. It's an extra. But it's not, you can use it for that for sure. But the ability to, when I was kind of designing it, I was like, wow, you can take them with you. And that was almost more important to me than just the straight up pocket idea, because I was always on the go. I mean, always on the go. You leave your house at 6 o'clock in the morning and you don't come home until 11 o'clock because you're going to work in the gym and meetings and, then out with your friends for dinner. And, so I always had I mean, like a closet in my car, you know, and stuff. And so for me, it was always important to have underwear. And I was like, wow, these can, they don't have to be, if somebody gets in my car, they're not gonna be like, wow, there are your underwear. Like, that's awesome.
No kidding. And so you came up with this very clever way to package them and create a discrete environment for them.
Yep.
And then you made the decision to patent, which of course is brilliant. Was that process difficult?
Yes, and expensive.
Okay.
It's, well, I shouldn't say difficult. I shouldn't say difficult. It just was a lot of work. I had a great lawyer who, in order to offset some of the costs, just put some of the work onto me. He was like, I'll do it. I will absolutely do it. But if you'd like to keep some of your costs down, this is what you can do. And so, of course, being a small business, I was like, well, let's keep some of the costs down. And so it was a lot of work, but not nearly as much as if I hadn't. Well, I would never suggest doing it without a lawyer anyway. So,
well, right. It's just right. And we've actually had a lawyer on one of my brand chat interview series, and he impressed upon the importance of trademarking and registering and doing some legalities, right? Some legal work. And it's sort of an afterthought. It's not the sexy stuff. It isn't the fun stuff to do.
No, it's not at all.
Yeah, I know. So you came up with Urban Undercover, which is so clever business. I know that naming is very, very difficult for people. It's kind of an arbitrary process. They just kind of pull something out of the sky, hope the .com's available. Can you share with us how you came up with the name? What's the story behind it?
Well, yeah, absolutely. So you talk about arbitrarily, I actually started with a different name completely. And it was something that, it meant something to me. It was a made up name, which ended up, I found out later, well, as, after using it, it was actually a name for Spanish. It's a Spanish name as well, but I didn't know that starting. It was a name that meant something to me, and it was made up from two different words and whatever and stuff. But as I was kind of building the business, and I don't come from, my business acumen now is a lot better than when I started, but I came from advertising and design. And so business was new to me, so as I was kind of building the business and building the brand and kind of doing all of that, it didn't resonate. It didn't have the strength that I needed it to or wanted it to really, or, and stuff. So from either my point of view or what I thought would be the consumer's point of view. I was like, all right, I need to rename this. I need to figure out something that really, I wanted it to talk about the product, but I didn't want to isolate us as just, I wanted to grow the product line. So I didn't want to name it, pocket underwear, or something, I don't know. There were a ton of names that were thrown out and ideas that were thrown out. And I just didn't want to isolate ourselves. So I wanted to kind of find something that was a little bit more universal, that described maybe a little bit about the pocket, maybe a little bit about the consumer, everything. So something that we could grow with.
And so then you came up with the name.
Yep. And the undercover is there's something that I think is kind of, to me, that speaks a lot of, obviously the underwear are undercover. So that's the literal meaning for it. But then I kind of think as women, we have these sides to us that are really kind of fun, and sometimes people are afraid to share them, like, this is really who I am. But so there's I think a strength in some of these underlying facets of our personalities that are kind of undercover, that are really neat. So as you get to unwrap the layers of people, and you get to know people better, or women better, women in general. I just speak from the female point of view because that's what our products mostly are. Right. But there's just that kind of, and I think the word to me, undercover, kind of there's something kind of sexy about it. There's something kind of mysterious, and I think that that's fun and stuff. And I was just going to call it undercover, but we were going to run into, I think, some potential trademarking issues. So I just thought, and the undercover just being that they're underwear. So the undercover kind of, it's under your covers. So that's kind of has multiple meanings is where that word came from. And for me, for this. And but we were going to, like I said, run into some potential issues with trademarking. So I was like, all right, well, who is our consumer? Who are we talking to? I'm trying to figure out, okay, because I was so in love with the word, how could we use it, but not, I don't know, use it, but not run into these issues and not make it really odd. And I was like, well, we are really speaking to an urban woman and the urban traveler. So we're not necessarily speaking to the traveler that's going to go, hike. I mean, there definitely can be used for that, but that's going to go hike, Kilimanjaro or, whatever. We're speaking to the person that might go check all of that out, but might not actually do the hiking or, the products aren't necessarily for that. So,
right.
So that's really our target market is the urban woman. So that's where I combine the two words, the urban and undercover.
Well, and it's really clever because it's super edgy and there's strength behind it, and there's definitely perception behind those words.
Thanks.
You combining them it's kind of a cool thing. And I've always loved your company name. I mean, the product's cool too, but it's nice to have the balance of both, because that isn't always the case,
No, it does. It gives it strength. And it's kind of fun because we'll do events and stuff and people will comment on the name all the time. So that's kind of fun.
And yesterday I did an interview too with a company that had a very, very unique name. That's how they entered the market. I mean, that's how they're surviving, is because of their clever name. And so I think that we don't give enough emphasis. I don't think we talk enough about the importance of value placed on a name,
Yep. And it does, it is funny when I did rename, that came with the actual brand. So everything, that came with it, but you talk about the power of the name. It meant so much more to me. So everything else kind of fell in line a little bit more easily and a little bit better and stuff. So it can be a really powerful thing.
No kidding. So then that will segue us into your rebrand, because I was trolling on Pinterest not too long ago, and I came across your rebrand, which was a little bit bizarre because I had been following that graphic designer. I've been watching her work.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden yours is there. I'm like, what is going on, right?
Yeah.
It's so well done. So let's talk about.
She is amazing. She's really, really great. And, I struggled with whether or not, for a lot of reasons, whether or not to rebrand. And so, but I finally I just decided I wanted to do it. And I tried it on my own. And because I am creative and I have the ability to work with, Photoshop and Illustrator and all of that, but I'm not a graphic designer and I'm too close to the brand. And I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. And I came across her on Pinterest, and I can say her name, right? Sarah.
Sure.
Yeah, Sarah. Her name's Sarah Dart, and she's from Salted Ink. And I came across her on Pinterest and just really loved what she was doing and the variety of what she was doing. So it wasn't like, I didn't think that I'd be like, oh, I'd hire her and it's going to look like that one because they all kind of look similar. It was literally like, I want to see what she can do. And I'm not real frilly. I'm not real, so, it's interesting because it's like, our brand and everything, our look is very simple, but it still needed a little pizzazz. It needed that
punch.
Yep. And so she was amazing to work with. And she had a great variety. And showed me a limited, because if I'm a person that's shown too many options, I get like, what? I don't know. So she did show me a limited number, but there was variety in the limit and stuff. Cause sometimes you may explain something to somebody and, you know, they might come up with something better than you think and stuff. And that's actually the case here. And so she just did a really, really great job. And I'm so glad that I did rebrand.
I actually saw her concept boards because when I saw that it was you, I'm like, what is happening? So I went to her website and she actually has you as an example.
Yep.
And it was very interesting because it's exactly what I experience when I brand my clients, which is, you know, you concept all these variety, right? Where you give people a flavor, a choice of, so here's what it could reflect or feel like, and here's what it could feel like and feel like. And as I was looking at her concepts, you know, some I didn't like at all. I didn't feel represented your brand at all.
Yeah.
And the one you chose ultimately would have been the one I would have picked for you.
Yeah.
So, right.
Yeah.
It was so, in my opinion, I think it's a home run. And I think people need to see it. Do you have a picture of the logo with you at all?
I do. So I'll show you, but I have, yeah, I'll show you. So, but it's interesting. She had given a couple of options and I really did, you know, the word it's urban and undercover, and she did a version, and I wish I did have those. I apologize. I didn't. But she did a version, you know, where the urban was, almost graffiti. I mean, not quite graffiti artists like, but, you know, had more of the edge and it wasn't quite so clean. And I did really like that, but I kind of am thinking long term, and I wanted something a little more timeless. So, you know, and that to me is just a lot more simple. So a lot more to me for timeless, but, one of my favorite, so I don't know if I have, let's see. Well, here, I don't know if you can see this, but I mean, it's just, that's the typeface. It's just a very simple, typeface. So love that. But, and then we also use, a kind of more of a printed.
There it is. Yep. So that's your brand mark. And
yep. So this is, and I absolutely love this because it says so many things to me. First of all, if you look at it, did you notice what they are?
they're 2U's, right?
Yeah. So it's 2U's.
Yeah.
But to me, it also, you know, we're all about that adventurous spirit and free spirit and kind of, I mean, free spirit sounds a little bit too bohemian, but kind of just being you, and, you know, we travel and all of that. And so to me, it's kind of like that, you know, I'm off, like it's just kind of that a little bit of,
And the fact that it has the tail on the right hand side shows progression, movement. It has some fluidity to it. I thought it was really great, and I loved how she had that duality of very, you know, stoic, bold typography, right? But then your mark is more free flowing, and I think that really pulls in or ties in your feminine pretty nice.
And you know, and it's kind of scary because when you do make a commitment to something like this, you're like, am I gonna love it? And you know, in years to come. And you know, you see with big brands all the time, they modify and they do, but you know, to do a complete overhaul would be, you know, that's not, so you're, you know, especially with a brand mark, I mean, that's it. And
That's
so
your stamp.
and you're kind of nervous to be like, I'm committing to this. Is this it? And I absolutely still love it. I absolutely love it still.
Well, and I do too. So
thanks.
And I'm a tough critic.
Thank you.
Can you show us the back of the postcard again with your beautiful models? Because I want people to see. Oh. Yeah, the other side. Yeah, okay. So when people have a product or a service and they're trying to demonstrate or elicit a visceral response or feeling through imagery, and I talk a lot about the importance of visual elements, photography being one of them. How do you, number one, choose your fit models? Number two, art direct and storyboard those shots? Because I'm very curious to know who helped you with that, or if you did that on your own, and can you tell the story about that?
Absolutely. So no, I don't do anything on my own, thankfully. Well, I'm a small business, so I contract out a lot of my work. So I do I guess a lot of my own, but I really believe in talking to people and getting feedback and working with people who are experts in their field. Like, 'cause I may have an idea of something, but somebody who's really good at, like, somebody, the photographer, he might be like, well, you know what? Why don't we try this? And I might be like, no, I don't think that's going to work. And then he does it, and you're like, well, that worked, you know? So I really, who I worked with for the photography on this, his name's Russell Heater. So if anybody's ever looking for a photographer, amazing, really amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
And
your shots are impeccable. And how did you come up with those angles and those crops? Did he art direct that for you?
he did, and he really did. And then I work with, her name is Christy Holt, and she's from Intent Collective here, and she does a lot of styling and a lot of, I mean, she does some producing. She does a little bit of everything. Just 100% recommend her. Just make sure she's free when I use her, if anybody's going to use her. No, and there. So Russell was awesome. He is the greatest. He was such a great photographer. And then Christy was awesome. She got a lot of the props ready and a lot of the, kind of
Stage the scene
style.
and
Yeah. And together they work as a pair together a lot now. And together they're awesome. I mean, they kind of work off of each other. But I'll tell you, you asked about the models. These are not models. I didn't hire them from anywhere.
those are real people.
Those are real people.
Oh
These
my
are just,
gosh.
and that's important to me because that's really why we did the brand. And
Yes.
so there's a there's a size small, a size medium, and a size large, so we could kind of catch the gamut and stuff. And because I'm a size large, and we fit our product. The fit in the feel of everything that we do in the function is the most important thing to me. Like, that it's really well made and that it fits and it feels good. And so we use me as the fit model, because that was the whole problem, was that I didn't fit into the underwear, and I'm a large. So we use me and graded down. Graded is sizing. So graded down instead of using a size 0 because it looks cute and it's whatever, and graded up. So the fit is really important, and the ability to show that variety that, and eventually, well, we're adding an extra small and an extra large into our product line, but eventually I would like to even go beyond the extra large into extended sizing and stuff. But that's a whole new line development. It's not just taking our products and making them, in bigger sizes. So, but I wanted, it's important to me to show imagery or to show things with our product that women are like, I can be that. I can really honestly look like that. Like, it's not a picture of an over airbrushed model. In fact, I don't think Russell touched anything on these photos. He maybe adjusted the color a little bit to just kind of so that they're all uniform, but there's absolutely no airbrushing. There's absolutely no, we're gonna, take out this roll, or no, you know what? That's the way we women are. That's the way our bodies are, and they're amazing, whether you're a size 0 or you're a size 23. So to me, it was really important. And that's part of the reason that I would say that Russell was so great to work with, because these are not models. And I was asking him to stand in front of a male photographer in your underwear and look natural. And like, that's totally easy, right? That's right. That's totally.
Yeah.
So, and he did it, and they all say, like, they're not so sure that they would have had as much fun or been as comfortable if Russell hadn't been taking the photos. So these women, they're all of the women in this picture, and all the women that I've used, actually, have been not models, and just amazing, just really, really amazing. So yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that, because that's amazing what you've done. It's so impeccably well put together.
Thanks. Thank you.
And I'm sure it has something to do with the fact that you do have a creative background. And I think that that's really, excuse me, challenging for people, is because I'll talk with folks and they'll say, Kelly, I'm just not creative. I'm just not creative. And that really is challenging, because most people are visual learners. And so if you lack that creative component, you have to outsource it. You have to.
You do. And so it is, I am very lucky. Like, so Russell and, Christy helped with the actual photography part of everything, but I actually put this postcard together. So like I do the marketing materials for everything and all of that, but I'm given great, with the photos and everything, I'm given great material to use. But when you talk about the branding and like, so you may not be creative. So what happened to me before I rebranded and used an outside source. So even though I'm creative, I could have technically done it, but I talked about Sarah, like, really pulling it together because I was creative. I was like, oh, maybe we could do this, and maybe we could do this, and that looks like cool packaging, and maybe our hang tags will look like this time, and nothing was really cohesive. I mean, it had elements of, similarity, but it wasn't like you would look at it and go, wow, that brand speaks to me, because it, things look different, but you can tell they're under the same umbrella. And so when I rebranded, that's when, I feel like even somebody who's not creative really can start to be, because you're given that foundation. So what happens now is I might see something and I'm like, ooh, that's really cool, but I'm able to say no to it, that design, because it doesn't quite fit into, like and not to say that there can't be variety, obviously, but it doesn't quite mesh with that core that we have for our brand and stuff. Whereas before I felt really scattered. So I feel like somebody who's not creative, if you can work with somebody and establish a really strong core, you can maybe be creative about that little aspect, because I feel like it might be overwhelming to be like, I'm not creative. How do I do all this and everything and stuff. So I think the going back to the brand thing, it's really important and can help somebody who might not be creative or consider themselves normally creative.
Right. And now you actually have brand guidelines. So now that now you're able to make sure that whomever you bring on as an independent contractor to help you get the shots or create the hang tags or whatever it is you choose to do, you do have rules now attached to the brand. The other nice thing is that you've invested in is the custom shoot, which you obviously would have to do anyway, just because of the nature of the product. But a lot of people use stock imagery, especially when you start out right. But the challenge is it's not your intellectual property. And so when a person has an opportunity to do custom photography, they really should.
Yeah. 100%.
It makes so much difference, right?
It makes so much difference from the consumer's point of view, but I feel like from even your point of view of how you want to promote the brand, how you want to promote the products, how you want to, there's a even more of a sense of ownership there for what you're doing and stuff. And so I 100%, it's not cheap, but it's very worth it.
Well, and for you especially, because your photography just closes the loop on the whole experience, right? So it's like, how do you create an experience in a two-dimensional environment, right?
Yeah. So, and especially for our product too, because it's a little bit, our core product, I should say, because we are expanding into other products, but our core product being the underwear and underwearables. And that's something, our target market, it's not like purchasing a shirt where people are like, oh, I'm going to look at in that for other people. And that's a mentality that a lot of people have. I mean, that's a common mentality. Like, I'm going to purchase this item because it's going to make me look good, which will in turn make me feel good because I feel like I look good. Underwear does the same thing, but it's not visual to other people on a normal basis. So we have to create so much more feeling behind that. Like, you really want to feel good and look like you feel good, because that, will resonate throughout everything else that you're doing. But it's a little bit harder sell than, oh, that shirt looks cute on that girl walking down the street. It's really got to come from within. And so you have to create that emotional, I mean, a lot of purchases are emotional, but this one is extremely much more emotional, because it's really taking yourself into account and your feelings into account and how I want to feel, not necessarily how I want others to see me, because that's sort of layer 2.
Right. Right. Oh, and it's beautifully done.
Thank you.
So Sairey, as you've been growing this brand and building this business, have you had a business plan or a marketing plan to support that? Like, do you utilize that kind of a tool to help you make business decisions?
So when I started early on, no, because I really, like I said, set out to solve a problem. I didn't necessarily think, oh, I'm going to start a business. And I didn't come, like I said, from a business background. I came from a creative. So it was way more fun to be like, oh, let's create this product, and what's it going to look like, and where are you going to get this stuff, and how is it going to, where's our lace come from, and all of that. So totally didn't do the business plan, and then got a little bit further along and thought, okay, maybe I better do the business plan. So did a business plan. I haven't revisited the business plan, so, and which is terrible. But in my opinion, and I don't have, so this is, I don't know how far down this road you want, but I'm self-funded, friends and family. So I haven't needed it for an outside investment or a bank loan, or I haven't needed it for that. So, but in my opinion, I think that it's important, really important, to have guidelines. And so not necessarily like, I kind of think the business plan that is out there is outdated. But if you have your own type of, like, this is our market, I mean, things like that are really important, but it's like, this is our market, this is our goal, this is our, the really kind of nuts and bolts of it. I don't think you necessarily have to, because that's what I was doing, was like following an online, like, okay, answer this question, and that's a good guideline. But I got so caught up in like that, but I love it. Yeah, I felt like I was in school just trying to, like, instead of putting the heart into it. And so now I have an outline, more than like what would maybe be considered a technical business plan. But it is what I do really want and need to do now is a full marketing plan. I mean, I have it in terms of like this, which is, but not an official document or anything. So I would actually like that done. In my opinion, I kind of think the business plan is very important, but I think it could be like a 2-page, honestly, this is our market, this is our goal, this is the industry, just like your nuts and bolts of the really big picture. But then I almost think the marketing plan is 100 times more important, because
so then how do you spread the word about the brand? What do you do to get noticed?
That's the biggest challenge, especially as a small business. That is the biggest challenge. And if I had known, I think when I started, you think like everybody's going to love it as much as I do, and they're going to, and so you're like, I was hesitant until I was ready to kind of just start telling people. And it's such a saturated, not just underwear and, travel, it's the internet information. There's so much coming at people on a daily basis. It's hard to filter. It's hard to get noticed. And it's hard to get noticed on a budget. I mean, that's just truth. But we don't really have a budget. So you just kind of keep plugging along. You do as much as you can. We're testing Facebook ads now, which is a beast.
Yes.
Oh man, that's a beast. And I'm not even sure really if it's worth, I mean, I know it can be, but we haven't figured it out yet. So we'll just say that we haven't figured it out yet. Quite honestly, I can't answer that question because we're still trying to get noticed. Like,
you do live events? Do you exhibit?
Yes. And that really is the core of our business right now. I mean, that's really where we make the most money.
Because they can demonstrate the product.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We can show it. People can feel it. They can touch it. But, you're right in front of people and stuff. I mean, it's a challenge to drive. It's an extreme challenge to drive people to your website. Very, very big challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
it's a huge commitment. How did you determine pricing? So how did you know where to fit in the undergarment range of, you're not Walmart, are you in Tiffany, Walmart? There's a whole middle ground there. And how did you determine pricing?
I looked at a lot of underwear, and when I started, there was Spanx, which a lot of people, if anybody is watching or listening that doesn't know shapewear for women, great product, serves a very distinct purpose, but it's not something you're going to wear every day. And then there was kind of your cheap Walmart, Target stuff. I mean, kind of, for lack of better, your throwaway, like you wear it and it kind of falls apart after a little bit and whatever, and it doesn't really even fit that great and whatever. But so this middle ground was, and then there was real high end stuff that, it's really expensive, and made well, but it's not going to be here every day because of the price point. So there wasn't really kind of this middle ground, which is what I wanted. I wanted this middle ground of nice, everyday, pretty and stuff. So I kind of had an idea of what I wanted the price to be. But I also had an idea of what I wanted the materials to be, the fit to be, the quality to be. And then being new to business, I didn't know all the aspects that go into pricing something. So my price ended up higher than what I wanted. But when I went out on the market and kind of did a little bit more research, we're right in line with now what would be competitors of ours. But it's higher than what I wanted, but our stuff lasts. I would say that would be our one challenge, is that people are like, I want more, but I don't need more, because they've purchased and they're not falling apart. They're not, so it's not like you have to refresh your underwear drawer every year. I mean, they last. So that, I guess, would be, what, as we grow, we'll have to add more color and more, more reasons and stuff. But right now, just being so small, we can't do that. But so the pricing is, I took our materials and I basically priced out what went into it, and then put in our margins of what we needed to earn to grow the business. So
you're in a very competitive space, as most people are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that any brand or product or service can avoid it.
Yeah.
And in your case, as you just mentioned, there's a wide range of product, both in quality and price, color. You're wrestling with a whole lot of pieces and parts. How do you differentiate beyond the obvious? So obviously it'll last, and the unique, discrete component of travel. How do you leverage yourself against the competition?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for sure, the portability and the ability that they fold and are discreet and undercover, really sets us apart. And that kind of gets us the, wait, what? Wow. Like that initial kind of stop. But it's really important to me to push also the fit and the feel, because that really is, the heart. It's kind of like that's the true benefit. And the others are just the portability is a great feature that it has. But the true benefit is that you feel good in them, and if you feel good, like I said, everything else kind of resonates off that. But it is a challenge, because I don't want to become, I don't believe in gimmicky. I don't believe in, so I'm trying to essentially say the same thing that a lot of people are saying, like they fit and they feel good and they're made well, and, and stuff. So it's hard to set yourself apart, but I just kind of try to keep saying it and keep messaging it and stay true to that, because there isn't anything. I don't want to be gimmicky, and I don't want to be fake, and I don't want to. So, I guess it's just like repeating it in different message, or repeating the message, I guess, in different formats.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a challenge, and just staying true to that, because I feel like in the long run, that's what will resonate, is like, oh, okay, they said this and it's true all along.
Right,
So
right. You know, there is a brand that sold bras, and very much like you, coming at it from a very exclusive, you, vibe. So also in a very competitive space. But in this particular case, they touted fit, just like you are saying. And they even took it a step further, which I thought was so clever. And if the thing would have fit, they'd be on my brand chat also. But basically what they said was, we have 100% guarantee this bra will fit you, like without question, 100% guarantee, money back guarantee. But also that's their big claim, is that it's all about fit.
yeah.
So it's beautiful. The photography is amazing. Their website is amazing. And here's where they had this very interesting marketing play, which was, try one for free for 30 days. Wear it for 30 days. If you don't love it, send it back and we will refund your money, but we guarantee you will. Now, I'm not a standard size from the waist down.
Yeah.
I'm a very standard size from the waist up. And so I know, just like my shoe size, my bra size, I mean, I can buy off a rack. I don't have to be fitted. So that's just one thing on my body that, right, is pretty standard. And so I ordered it, and it came beautifully wrapped, right, with the tissue and the sticker label and the presentation. I was just like, oh my God, I have chills. This is so amazing. And it fit horribly. And what's so funny is that completely crushed my spirit, because of who I am. I'm the brand girl. So it's all about presentation. Like Teeks does a great job in that.
I love Teeks doing it.
Right? Like, it's just so, you want to spend more money. You want to give them your money, because it's such an amazing experience. And I really do liken you to that jam. And I'll, share that bra company with you offline. They, in principle or in theory, did it 100% right. And then their proof of concept was.
And that's one thing I will not guarantee 100%. I won't. Everybody is so different. We're human. There are so many nuances. There are so many just kind of, but I can guarantee 100% that we're trying, right? That we're, that we want, that's our mission. But that's why, so a lot, there are a lot of brands on the market that are like one size fits all, especially with the thong, because there's the ability to stretch. And if you're not covering, your butt cheeks or whatever, you don't necessarily have to worry as much about, how that butt, the butt for,
well, that's what it is.
Yeah. So, and the ability to stretch with the lace, there is more overlap in a thong, but one size doesn't fit all. That just doesn't. And I'm not going to guarantee that, especially if I can't see my customer in person.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to guarantee to you that these are going to 100% fit you, but I can guarantee to you that we're doing our best. We're doing things differently. We use me as a model, the fit model, on everything, and I'm the average size. So, we're using me and my figure instead of a size 0, which is a lot of people and a lot of what brands do and stuff. So I can guarantee that we're trying our hardest to make the best fitting garments for the widest range. Well, I shouldn't say widest range yet. Right now we really have just still but our goal is to do a wider range. But I'm not going to guarantee 100% these. And if they, and we do take them back. We do take them back.
Wow.
So, yeah. It's on our website. I mean, I don't, we're small, and that's hard to do, but it is a huge, I think just as integrated with the brand is customer service. I think that's a huge part of the brand. And if I'm spending my money on something and it doesn't work and it's going to sit in my drawer, I'm going to just be bummed.
Yeah.
I work really hard for my money, as do most people. So if you purchase something of ours and it doesn't work for you, we'll give you your money back. It doesn't like, it's not any, it doesn't do you any good. It doesn't do us any good. So like, that's an important part to me.
So if you had to do it all over again, your brand. So knowing what you know now.
Just the brand or the whole business?
I would say both. I'd love an answer to both, because a lot of my students struggle with running business.
Yeah.
But also how to be and stay relevant in a very competitive marketplace, which obviously speaks to brand. So what would you do different, if anything?
Well, there's a lot I'd do differently. I'd love to say that I just know everything I'm doing and I got everything right. Brand is going to be easier to speak to. I am very, very excited that I worked with an outside somebody. I don't think I would do anything differently with the brand, the rebrand. I am very, that has made I can't even explain exactly how much of a difference that has made in how confident I feel about the product, the direction of the product. Because it was also headed, I repositioned a little bit too. I was also headed with the other name, and this was not trusting myself. So I was listening to a lot of feedback from people I thought really knew what they were, they had established themselves, in business. They were older. I thought, okay, well, they really know what they're doing. Well, they knew what they were doing with Kellogg, you know what I mean? Food, and not my so it took me a while to learn to filter advice. But with the other brand, other name, I was really headed down lingerie, and that's not me at all. I'm really about everyday comfort, classic beauty, not trend, stuff that's really kind of staples that you want around for a while and stuff. And so when I rebranded, I kind of repositioned, and, we're much more about what I want, what I feel my customer wants. So with the brand, I don't think I would do anything differently. I know I'm very, very pleased with it. The business, it's a whole nother story. Like I said, I just started solving a problem. I didn't necessarily say, okay, this is the business. This is what we're going to do. This is da, da, da. And maybe I would have skipped a couple of those kind of, gray years where I was like headed down the lingerie because, I would have been where I am now and stuff earlier. But I think, it's an evolution having a business. One of the most important things I think is being honest with yourself and being really open to even not criticizing, but evaluating yourselves and admitting that maybe you're wrong or, something like that. And then adapting. Mm-hmm. So maybe you had an idea that this was your end point, but that's not working. So how do we still get to where we want to go, or what does that end point now look like and stuff, but still being really true to yourself, not just like, oh, I don't know, I want to have a business, so now we'll just do this. It's got to be something you believe in, something you really are passionate about and still have meaning to you. But I think that starting, I probably would have built up my funds a little bit better than they were to start. So that, and I probably would have planned it a little bit better. Like I said, I just kind of started, which I do think is important to people as well. I do think that if you plan too long, or you wait too long, or you just are waiting for everything to be perfect, that's never going to happen, and you're never going to do it. So you do have to get to a point where you just start.
Right.
But I kind of just started without the plan. So maybe.
Yeah. So would you say then that would be the advice you would give an early stage business owner or somebody who's just starting out? Like what advice would you give them to say, I'm X number of years into this. If it were me, watch out for these pitfalls, or through this. Do you have any advice for them?
Yeah, I mean, I would say do a 2-page business plan and do a 2-page marketing plan. That's not overwhelming. It makes you think about what it is you want. It makes you think about, enough without stressing yourself out and being like, oh, I'll do that later. And then you never do it and whatever. Sit down for a weekend and do your best on just 2 pages of what it is, what the product is, what your end goal is, what the business is. And then, 2 pages on how you want to tell people what this business is or the product is or whatever, or the service or whatever your business is, how you envision letting people know about that. And then I think start.
Just be brave.
Wherever that might be, you just kind of have to start moving, and you have to be flexible and go with the flow. And you drive the bus, but you're going to hit road bumps and you're going to hit things but I think that I hear from a lot of people that they just don't know where to start, which is really valid. That's a valid point. You kind of just have to make a lot of work for yourself. I know that sounds funny, but you have to make a lot of work for yourself. Like, make a list of people to call, or, like in my case, I was like, I have no idea how to make underwear. I actually had no idea. I don't even know how to sew. So in my case, I don't. In my case, it was like, okay, let's find somebody who knows how to sew. Like, so that I made a list of people. I started calling. You have to just make work for yourself. And then that will lead you to the next steps.
Awesome. Okay, last question. What's next for Urban Undercover?
Actually, so 2 things. 3 kind of. We've had a lot of requests for wholesaling. I'm not sure if we'll do it or not. It's something I'm looking into. It's because it's a whole different beast. So there's a lot of pluses to it and there's a lot of minuses to it. So looking into that. We are putting on our radar, although it probably won't happen exactly soon, we are putting men's on our radar. A lot of requests for men's, and our brand, this goes back to the branding, isn't overly feminine. I'm not frilly, and so it actually lends itself quite, even though that wasn't on our radar, this is part of the evolution of business. It actually, the brand lends itself to being, equally male as it is female. Right now with the imagery and everything, it's very female, but and then I'm actually, because we're expanding into, like I said, this is the evolution. I started just being like, I want to create better underwear, but I didn't want to stay in that space. And our underwear are made to travel really easily. So that's the space that I'm moving into, is this, the travel. And I'm actually working on a travel set bag for the urban woman. So it's two different bags, and you'll be able to purchase them separately, but it's a rolling bag, and then kind of a work / on the go tote, convertible tote. So, and we're going to have to do that through Kickstarter, but that won't even be until next year. It's going to be highly functional. That's really important to me, highly functional. So yeah, lots of stuff in the works.
I cannot wait to see that.
Thanks. It's really fun. That's a lot of work, and that's a challenge. I'm working with, like, it's an unknown space to me right now.
How fun. But just knowing what you're capable of, you're going to produce something amazing. And
Thank you. Thanks.
I'm going to need to own that.
Yeah.
So,
thank you.
Sairey, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
And just being so supportive of what I'm doing. And
you are fantastic. I will get behind anything you do. You are a branding genius. So it's really cool.
Well, honey, thank you. I really, really do appreciate it. And I really encourage everybody who's tuning in, you have got to see Sairey's work. Like that, it is, her website's awesome. The product is amazing. You've got to do it.
Thanks.
So for more information on Urban Undercover, go to urbanundercover.com. Thanks, everyone, and I'll see you on the next Brand Chat interview. Want to learn more insider secrets on branding from the big name brands and learn how to make more money with your own brand? You'll find all of that and more inside my brand school. Just go to brandingformoolah.com and sign up.